Sergeant and Mrs. Smith, you're going to love this house.
Is that a tub in the kitchen?
There's no field manual for finding the right home. But when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
Earning your degree online doesn't mean you have to go about it alone. At Capella University, we're here to support you when you're ready. From enrollment counselors who get to know you and your goals, to academic coaches who can help you form a plan to stay on track. We care about your success and are dedicated to helping you pursue your goals. Going back to school is a big step, but having support at every step of your academic journey can make a big difference. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.
Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, distribute it everywhere, and even earn money, all in one place for free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit your podcasts right from your phone or your computer. So no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else podcasts are heard. Video podcasts are also available on Spotify, and when you want to take conversations with your fans to the next level, Q&As and polls are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. Ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, I feel so supported in the creation and distribution of my show. Spotify for Podcasters hosts masterclasses, office hours, and more to help creators develop and fine-tune their skills. I highly recommend you give it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to spotify.com/podcasters to get started. With new beginnings comes new goals. Maybe there was something that you wanted to accomplish in the year of 2023 and life changed. Maybe God handed you different circumstances. Maybe it looks nothing like how you thought it was gonna look. That's a very normal and real thing, and it happens all the time. But regardless of which way it goes, you have to adapt your goals and act accordingly. What's up, everybody? Welcome to or back to the show. Thank you so much for clicking on this episode. I'm very cozy right now. I'm recording this from my bed. I am currently at home visiting my... When I say home, I mean like Ocean City. Ocean City will always be home. Annapolis, I have my home in Annapolis. You know, we have our condo, but Ocean City will always be home to me. So I'm home right now. I'm at my parents' and it's just been so relaxing. I got here yesterday afternoon. So today's Tuesday, the 19th. I got here yesterday afternoon and it's been such a relaxing 24 hours. I cannot express how much this town just brings me so much peace, which is so funny because I was so eager to leave like 2 years ago, but now coming back home, it's just so peaceful. And it's one of those things that I think you don't really realize it until there's distance between you and the thing that, because like obviously the town where you grow up can cause like a lot of anxiety. Like I was so excited to leave because I just wanted to like spread my wings and go be in a new place and meet new people and all that stuff. But I love coming back temporarily. And I think that the distance that I've created between the person that I was when I was in high school and the person that I am now has really, really helped with, you know, just having a new appreciation for my hometown. Anyway, that was totally like a little tangent and like a little bit of a life update, but that's kind of the conclusion that I came to when I was writing today in my journal, doing my morning pages. I just was like, you know what? I think it's the distance that's been helpful. So other than that, there's not too many new things happening in my life. I mean, there is, but I feel like they're too premature to share. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut. But I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that you guys are having a great week. This is the third episode in our transition/change mini series that we're doing the whole month of September. And the first episode in the series was all about why change is hard and what we can do about it. And then last week's episode was about embracing new beginnings. And this episode is going to be all about how to set goals and prioritize your dreams in the fourth quarter of the year, which is insane. Guys, it's insane that it's mid-September now. October is approaching. Q4 is almost here, essentially. October 1st is Q4. I won't make this too corporate-y, but October, November, December is typically when people like kick it into high gear. They start to reevaluate what didn't happen during the year, and they set new goals for the new year or really high priority goals to finish out before the year ends. And so I wanted to talk all about how to make goals that align with where you are now in your life, because I think in January, none of us could have really imagined that we are where we are now. And that's just the game of life. But yeah, so I want to talk all about transitioning your goals and adapting accordingly. But before we get into that, I'm going to share a couple things that I've been loving because I'm trying to stick with this segment and I think it's working. So far, so good. So the first thing I've been loving, believe it or not, is a pumpkin spice latte. Okay. Don't call me basic, but it's true. And I have a couple requirements though. It can't be the type of pumpkin spice latte that tastes like a candle, because there are certain coffee brands out there that make a pumpkin spice latte and it kind of tastes like a candle. It's got to be a good like craft coffee drink from a nice local hip coffee shop. So as long as it meets those requirements, I'm all about it. The second thing that I have been loving, well, this is the second item, and then there's two things in it, are two podcasts that I've really been enjoying, and I wanted to shout them out. I think I'm getting sick too, by the way. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I feel like my voice is a little, I don't know, it kind of hurts to talk. So we'll just, take some vitamin D and keep drinking my AG1 and hope that I'm like not getting too sick. Anyway, there's two podcasts that I've really been loving and I wanted to share them with you. The first one is called Wicked Fearless, and it is with my friend Mads Tads. She has a really, really inspiring podcast called Wicked Fearless. I had her on the show back in like May or June, and we recorded a really cool episode. She's a confidence coach. She's a soul cycle instructor. She's just the best. So if you guys like 80/20, I'm 99.999% sure that you're going to love Wicked Fearless. So go listen to that one. And then I've also been enjoying Hannah Brown's new podcast called Better Tomorrow. And I just really like her. I watched her on, this is actually perfect timing because this new show or the new season of the show is coming out, but Special Forces, World's Toughest Test. I started watching that a couple weeks ago with my sister, Lexi. And I was like, wait, I literally love Hannah Brown. I loved her as the Bachelorette. So anyway, I went and I looked her up on Instagram again and like, kind of caught up on her life. And then I was like, oh my gosh, she's got a podcast. And so I started listening to Better Tomorrow with Hannah Brown. And I really like it. So she also just got engaged and I'm just like, she's just living her best life. So I've started listening to that podcast. And then I guess we could say that this show, Special Forces, World's Toughest Test, has been a new favorite of mine too. It's just super interesting to watch all this stuff go down. I feel like you just have to go watch the trailer, but the new season is coming out I think sometime this week, and it is a bunch of celebrities, like JoJo Siwa's in it, Nick Vile's on it, Tyler Cameron's on it, and it's just kind of cool to watch these celebrities do this crazy stuff. So maybe go watch that if that's something that you're interested in. It's very, very entertaining, and I've really been enjoying it.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. With over 122 million parts, you can make sure your number one ride or die stays running smoothly. Brake kits, LED headlights, bumpers, whatever your baby needs, eBay Motors has it. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, it's guaranteed to fit your ride the first time, every time. Plus, at these prices, you're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
If you send hay, they send hay. But with opening moves on Bumble, you can get to better chats faster. Because if you send most underrated summer activity, they send eating spicy soup in front of the air conditioner on full blast. And that's something you can work with. You're still making the first move, but you can choose a question or write your own to get sent to all your matches. So you can relax and see what they come back with. Download Bumble and try it for yourself.
This episode is brought to you by AG1. Over the past couple weeks on the show, we have talked a lot about change and transitions and how life can be so crazy sometimes, but there's one habit that I do every single day that no matter what I'm going through, it's a consistent staple in my daily routine, and that is drinking my AG1. AG1 is the daily foundational nutrition supplement that supports whole body health. I drink AG1 first thing in the morning before I hit my workout, before I make my coffee, and it really makes me feel like I am just ready to take on the day because I'm doing something good for my body. I found that it's the easiest way to keep up with a supplement routine because in each scoop, you're getting 75 vitamins, minerals, probiotics, and whole food sourced ingredients of the highest quality. My AG1 is delivered to me every single month, so it's been really easy to make it a daily habit, and it's replaced my multivitamin, my probiotic, and more in one simple drinkable habit. If you want to take ownership over your health, try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to drinkag1.com/8020. That's drinkag1.com/8020. Check it out. You guys know that this series is all about new beginnings and change and transitions. And I wanted to start this series because I feel like so many things are changing and shifting in my life that obviously whatever I talk about on the podcast is kind of also in line with what is going on in my own life. And the more that the deeper we get into this season and the more I look around at all my friends and family's lives, everything is changing. And I'm just like, how did this align so well to some degree? And I'm like, did I predict this? Was I just like intuitive about it? Or is it truly just like the fact that September is really just a month of change? Like I've been saying it and then I look around and then I'm like, oh my goodness gracious, like that is totally true. Like buckle up, strap in, change is happening. There are new beginnings everywhere. And I had a lot of fun recording last week's episode about new beginnings. And I kind of talked a little bit about, my struggles with new beginnings and then how I'm overcoming those struggles. So if you guys haven't listened to that, you definitely should. But with new beginnings comes new goals. Maybe there was something that you wanted to accomplish in the year of 2023 and life changed. Maybe God handed you different circumstances. Maybe it looks nothing like how you thought it was going to look right now. That's a very normal and real thing, and it happens all the time. So if you're not where you wanted to be right now, take a moment and give yourself a little bit of grace. Maybe that's something that was put on your heart that you wanted to strive for and it just wasn't in the cards. Maybe it was never going to be part of the plan. Maybe that person or that career or that thing that you wanted to go for that just seems like it's not working. Like maybe you're just throwing so much mud at the wall to see what sticks and it's just not sticking. Maybe it's not going to happen right now, or maybe something better is going to happen instead. But regardless of which way it goes, you have to adapt your goals and act accordingly. I was planning this episode and I meant to bring one of my journals home with me, home to Ocean City with me, and I forgot it, but I wanted to open up that journal and kind of do a little bit of reflection of like, okay, this is where I thought I was going to be by this time this year. This is where I actually am. And go back and look at some of even the micro goals that I had. I know the big goals, the things that I really wanted to accomplish this year, but I also know that I had like little hopes and dreams, like, oh, I hope that this happens, or I hope that I, am able to deepen this friendship, or I hope that I'm able to have this person on the podcast. And whatever those little, we can call them like micro goals are or were, I wish that I, grabbed that journal and I could kind of reflect on them and share them with you guys. But anyway, I encourage you to open up your journal or open up your notes app and reflect on what you wanted to happen this year. Reflect on some of the things that you were dreaming about this year. I was in a yoga class today and the instructor encouraged us to take a look at our reverse bucket list. So instead of wishing that things could be different, or instead of wishing that this would happen, or, it must be nice to travel the world, or it must be nice to, X, Y, and Z, insert big thing here. Take a look at the things that this is a little bit of a tangent here, but take a look at the things that you have accomplished. So maybe go ahead and write down a list of like 20 things that you did do this year. And I know that the year is not even over yet, so don't get too wrapped up in this, but before we can adapt our goals, I think that it's important to look back at all the things that we did do this year, because you probably did a lot of things this year and you won't really notice it until you start writing them down. So go ahead and jot down all the things that you did this year. And then maybe you can look back at your camera roll or an old journal prompt and see if any of the things that you accomplished align with the things that you hoped you would accomplish. So maybe pause this episode, make your list now, or maybe make the list when you get home later, whatever your situation is. Hopefully you have your list, your reverse bucket list, your accomplishments, your things that you did this year that you're really, really proud of. I want you to celebrate that and take a moment and like pat yourself on the back, be like, yo, we did it. And then you can kind of get into, okay, what hasn't happened yet? What do we need to work on? Because there's, of course, always room for improvement, but you got to celebrate your wins too. So I'm always in this weird toss-up state between like, oh, I'm doing so well. Like, look at all the things that I've done. And oh my gosh, I could have done more, or I could have done that differently. So don't let your inner critic win here. Just simply celebrate your wins. And then we can look ahead at Q4 and establishing your goals. I feel like now's a good time to grab your journal, or maybe you can just make notes in the Notes app, but this is going to be more of like an activity-based episode rather than just me talking at you. So if you want to participate in the activities, that's totally cool. If you don't want to, that's also totally cool. You can literally do whatever you want. But this is how I went through the process of making my Q4 goals, and I figured that I would just share it with you guys. Before we dive in, I think it's really important to recognize that you only have a certain capacity to get stuff done. It has taken me 23 years to come to terms with the fact that I can't do it all. I used to be a big subscriber to hustle culture, and I used to really, really, really believe that I could do it all. And then I realized that, oh, I can do it all, but it comes with a price. So why would I want to do it all? Does that make sense? When I took a step back from like the hustle and being booked and being busy, I really realized that I was missing out on the little things in life. And this is going to sound so cliche. To people who don't get it, this is going to sound really silly, but I literally laid in the grass today and watched the clouds float by. If you would talk to me a year ago, or if you go back and listen to a podcast from a year ago, I'm in like such a high state of panic and I have so much anxiety. Like, I don't have time to sit and watch the clouds roll by. Like, that's literally what I wouldn't have even thought of, taking a moment to pause and watch the clouds roll by. Granted, I did this for like 5 minutes and I was walking my dog, and my parents have like 5 acres of land. And so it made sense to just sit down in the grass and watch the clouds float by. It was like no sweat off my back. I wasn't, taking away from a meeting or, missing emails or anything. I just was taking a pause. So before someone gets angry at me for recommending that you sit down and watch the clouds float by, A, recognize the situation, and B, try it. Don't knock it till you try it. When you start noticing little things like this, you can't help but continue to notice more little things like this. And then you start to notice how pretty nature is. And then you start to realize how fun it is to be able to take 20 minutes out of your day and go walk your dog and not feel guilty about it. And it just, when you unsubscribe from hustle culture and start noticing the world around you, start noticing what really, really matters, life changes drastically. So I think that is probably my biggest difference between January me and September me, is that I'm no longer a subscriber to hustle culture, and I'm not prioritizing being booked and busy, and my goals reflect that. So there is a very lengthy wish list of things that I hope to accomplish someday, whether they're bucket list items or projects for the podcast or, programs that I want to launch or business ideas. There's a really, really long list of things that I want to do, but I realize that I don't have to do them all right now. And you don't have to do all your things and hopes and goals and dreams right now either. Most people listening are probably like anywhere from 20 to 30, or really whatever age you are. It doesn't matter. You have your whole life to do all the things that you want to do, and you don't have to do them right now. So recognizing that you can only put energy into projects or people or places or things at a certain capacity, and those buckets might be full at different levels depending on what you want to work on most. That's kind of a key here. So knowing that the holidays are coming up, knowing that you only have a certain capacity to give to each of these areas of your life or each of these goals, I recommend that you keep your goals at like 2, maybe 3 max. There's really no reason to try to overload your plate right now. You're already dealing with probably stressors at work or stressors at school or just life in general. For some reason, everyone's been on edge for the past 2 weeks. Don't ask me why, but it doesn't matter where I go. Everybody is just in a mood. I'm contributing to the problem, no doubt about it. And then toss in whatever other factors you have going on in your life. It's going to be tricky to accomplish like a whole new set of goals in the last couple months of the year. So don't overwhelm yourself. Keep it at like 2 or 3. I've created these goals through a combination of 2 things. The first thing being my wish list of things that I hope to do and achieve and live out one day. And the second thing being the things that I hoped to get done this year that haven't gotten done yet. I actually have 3 goals for Q4, not just 2. And like I said, these are a combination of my wish list of things that I want to do in my life and what I want to do before the year ends. The first thing is deepen my spiritual practices and my yoga practice. The second thing is uploading 2 episodes each week for this podcast. And the third thing is launching In the 20, which is a mentorship program, and more info on that coming soon. But I actually just did make the Instagram account for that. So if you want to go follow In the 20, it's in.the.20 on Instagram. I'll link it in the show notes. Go give it a follow. More info to come. Anyway, those are my 3 goals, and they're very simple, and I know exactly what I have to do to achieve them. And we'll get into an action plan in just a second. But I think when you're making your goals, the most important thing is to make it something that you actually will accomplish. There's no reason setting yourself up for failure if you know that you're not going to do these things. So if it's something that you've been meaning to do all year long and you just haven't done it yet, I want you to ask yourself, why haven't I done this thing yet? Is this thing actually important to me? Or is it just something that I hope to do one day and I'm never actually going to do it? So once you have your 2 or 3 goals for the upcoming months, now you actually have to figure out how you're going to achieve them. So a big part of goal setting is the action plan. That's actually, I wrote this down when I was writing the outline for this episode. A goal without an action plan is really just a wish. So if you're not going to make moves towards this goal, there's no reason in making it a goal. And next week, we're going to talk about action and accountability. So we'll get into all the nitty-gritty next week. But here's how to make your action plan. I want you to write down these 2 or 3 goals on a sheet of paper. And then I want you to write down all the things, all the steps, all the habits that it's going to take to accomplish this goal. And then I also want you to write down what your life will look like when this goal has been achieved. For my first goal, deepen my spiritual and yoga practice. What are some little habits that I can do to achieve this goal? Probably go to yoga more. That would be a great start. I go like 3 times a week, but I could go more. There's always room for improvement. As far as my spiritual practice goes, I've been exploring different churches in my area, so that's exciting. I made it a priority to open and read my Bible every single day. And then I've written down what I think my life will look like if I continue to do these things. You know, words like deepen, it's a very loose term. My version of deepen could mean a lot different than your version of deepen. And so defining whatever those words look like for you is super important because our goals could look different depending on our interpretations of the words. So upload 2 episodes a week, that's a little more cut and dry. You know, it'll be very clear whether that goal is achieved or not. If you see an episode on Tuesday and an episode on Thursday, you'll be like, Lily's hitting those goals. She's doing 2 a week. It's pretty clear when that goal is achieved. And so that's kind of a big difference. But in order to achieve that goal, I'm going to need to put a little bit more elbow grease into this because I put probably like 10 hours worth of work into an episode every week, from recording to editing to social. And so that's an additional 10 hours. So then that's 20 hours of podcast work a week. And then you got to think about, you know, what other little things do I have to do, guests, all that kind of stuff. So with each goal, it comes with its own set of requirements, its own set of habits, its own to-do list items. And that is your action plan. So that is going to be it for today's episode. I really hope that you guys enjoyed it. I know that it was short and sweet, but I hope that you guys still got a little bit of inspiration, some motivation to start setting your Q4 goals. I think if you get an early start on this kind of stuff, that is where you really see a bigger impact. I used to be such a big procrastinator, but I've really worked at looking ahead at the calendar and making sure that I'm being timely with things. I definitely think that looking ahead 2 weeks helps you become more prepared. If you liked today's episode, please be sure to give it a rate, give it a review. That helps more people find and listen to the show. If you were listening to this on your walk or while you're cooking dinner or while you are just hanging out around the house, maybe you're folding laundry, maybe you're literally just sitting and journaling and doing the goal setting as I prompted you, please don't be shy, snap a picture, post on Instagram what you're doing, tag me at Lily Rayco, tag the podcast Instagram at 8020pod, and I will always repost you. I love seeing what you guys are doing on social. Yeah, that's kind of it for today. I love you guys so much. Have a great rest of your week, and we will be back next week to talk all about your action plan and accountability.